The chair. Once there was a chair. It had been built lovingly from the wood of an old oak tree by the kind of carpenter who took her time. Although the carpenter always made things sturdy and strong, she liked to add a little detail here and there to honor the personality of the thing itself. The broad back of this particular chair had a pleasing curve to it, almost as if in motion, and so the carpenter carved a flowing design into it and added a graceful finial on the top. She polished it and set it in her front window for sale, and every time she looked at it, she had to smile. She was working in the back room when a customer arrived. As soon as she heard the little bell of her door ring, she felt a pang in her heart. "I don't know what it is about that chair," she thought to herself. "I don't want to let it go." But when she turned around and saw the customer's playful smile, she knew the chair would be an excellent company. "My name is Mariella the Magnificent," the customer said. "I am the director of a traveling show, and I have fallen madly in love with that chair." And so the chair went with Mariella and her partners in their clever wooden caravan, which transformed into a theatre after sunset. Day after day, Mariella and her partners travelled to different villages and cities and seaside towns. Night after night, they put on wigs and hats and capes and sang and danced and acted out scenes that made the audience laugh and cry and gasp and cheer. And that is how the chair, which was used on stage in every show, was sat upon by a queen, and climbed upon by a troll, and balanced in the air by the hand of a jester, just to name a few examples. For many years, the chair had lively adventures and was as happy as could be, but while it remained sturdy and strong, Mariella and the other players grew old. Eventually, they all stopped performing. Although Mariella didn't want to, she had to sell the caravan and everything in it, including the chair. She wanted to make sure that her beloved belongings went to a good home, and when a couple came along and promised to keep the theatre running and take good care of all the props and costumes besides, Mariella gave them a very good deal. But the couple were only interested in money, and they sold off the caravan and its contents bit by bit. Now lots of fascinating people came to buy the wigs and plumes and hats and canes and wands and fairy wings, and the chair was hopeful that it would be purchased by one of those bright-eyed, happy-hearted folk. But then a terrible thing happened. The couple decided to keep it for themselves. And so the chair was set in the plain, dark living room of their house. Because they didn't trust anyone, they kept their shutters closed and their door locked. Day after day, night after night, the chair had to sit there and listen to them bicker, for that's all they ever did. "Did you eat the last of the cheese?" "I did. What of it?" "I wanted that bit." "Well, you're just greedy, as always." On and on. To make matters worse, the couple had a mangy old dog who liked to chew on the chair's leg. Years passed. Finally, one morning, the chair couldn't take it anymore. When the grumbling man sat down on it, the chair collapsed. "You cheap thing," the man cried. "You're nothing but a piece of trash." He kicked the pieces into a pile, collected them and tossed them over the hill, which was where he dumped all the things he no longer wanted. Now, as it happened, a neighbour liked to search through the trash to see what useful things he might find. He was more of an inventor than a carpenter, and he often used bits of an old thing to make something new. He knew that just because a thing had been thrown in the trash didn't mean it was trash. And later that morning, when he stopped by to have a look, he was delighted. "What fine old pieces of oak," he said to himself. He could tell that the pieces had been a chair, but he wasn't immediately sure what he would do with them. So he took them to his workshop and cleaned them up and held them in his hands. Sometimes a piece of wood seemed to tell him what it wanted to be. And sure enough, an idea came to him. Around the clock, the inventor worked. The legs and seat and back were sanded and re-glued, but something was very different. The chair couldn't quite figure out what was going on. And then one day the inventor said, "All done. Let's have a go, shall we?" And he carried the chair, along with quite a lot of other materials, to the top of the grassy hillside. The sky was blue and cloudless, and a gentle wind ruffled the inventor's hair. The chair waited, and after a bit of preparation, and the tightening of ropes, and the lighting of a flame, a colourful balloon of silk rose from the ground and tugged playfully on ropes attached to the chair. The inventor strapped himself in, and up they both rose. The inventor laughed and cried out, and hugged the seat of the sturdy old chair with his hands. And off the two sailed to see the beauty of the land and sea and sky.